Okay, students. So we will start with the today's lecture. Some problem I have solved that problem with three cases. First, let us go through that, and then we will focus on the today's outline. That is, we are going to complete today the last mapping technique in block distribution, that is array distribution, that is randomized, and then we will move ahead towards the next category. Let us see how much we can complete in 1 hour. First focus here, it is in continuation with yesterday's lecture. Something I have solved for your better understanding. uh, what is in front of you is yeah, mic. Hmm. So what is in front of you is one-dimensional block cyclic distribution. The case, you know now this alpha factor. For for block cyclic, uh, alpha should be between 1 and n by p. So here I am assuming alpha is equal to 2, and I have solved these cases for all using one dimensional. So on the similar lines, you can go for two dimensional. So one dimensional block distribution, I hope you know. Otherwise, you just go on allocating the blocks or tasks to the processes. So like this. So now just see how this diagram. So some calculations first. In a one-dimensional block cyclic distribution, one alpha is in between 1 and n by p. Alpha is equal to 2. So this condition is satisfied here. N is equal to 16. We are dealing with 16 by 16 matrix. Number of processes restriction is only 4 processes we are having. Here alpha is equal to 2. So alpha p groups of n by alpha p consecutive rows. So what is done in this block cyclic? It is the whole matrix n by n, that is 16 by 16 in this case. It is divided into alpha p groups. So substitute how many groups? So there should not be any confusion now. Alpha here it is 2. Why? It is in between 1 and n by p. 1 to 4. So 2 is in between 1 and 4. So I'll just take the product alpha and p. So alpha is 2 and p is 4. So alpha p groups, that is equal to 2 into 4, 8 groups of n by alpha p. So I have substituted simply, and 2 consecutive rows. So each block I am getting it as a 2 consecutive rows of matrix for allocation. So please go through this, and then I will show you the above diagram. So similarly, we will see the next two cases. One is upper bound of alpha, and then lower bound of alpha, and with one dimensional. So now exercise to you is similarly you solve it for 2 dimensional. Just go through it. I think now it is more clear instead of the solved problem which I showed you yesterday. So the thing is that alpha p groups we are creating, that means 8 groups, and we are allocating allocating the processes in a wraparound fashion, because we are with block cyclic. So just see, per group or per block there are 2 rows. Is it 2 rows? So total whole this n by n matrix, 16 by 16 matrix, it is divided into 8 groups. Are you with me? 8 groups. 8 groups. So each group it is having 2 rows like this by this calculation. And just go on allocating. So P0 first 2 rows, P1, P2, P3. As we are with block cyclic, the word cyclic is important. Again it will wrap around. Again P0, P1, P2, P3. So this is the case with one dimensional block cyclic distribution. I think it is clear now. So now let us go ahead. Next two cases are, first I will show you the cyclic, that is extreme case of log cyclic. So in cyclic I will substitute alpha is equal to n by p, and the last case I will show you the pure block. So here I will substitute, in that case I will substitute alpha is equal to 1, that is the lower bound, and same thing we are doing, similar thing we are doing, again dividing the matrix into alpha p groups only. Now at least it should be clear. So let us go ahead. I hope this first is clear. Anything, please text in the chat box. So next case is one dimensional. I am focusing on one dimensional only, don't get confused. So row wise and row wise, not column wise. I have taught you this also. One dimensional. Now cyclic. So for cyclic, I am substituting alpha is equal to n by p. N is equal to 16. Again, same case, same problem or data. P is equal to 4. So alpha is equal to 4. That is the upper bound I am substituting, and just again see the calculations and then see the distribution. Same equation. N is equal to 16. P is equal to 4. It is remaining the same. We are dealing with n by n, that is 16 by 16 matrix, but we are going row wise. Why? Because we are in one dimensional. Though it is a matrix you are seeing here. So let us substitute alpha as upper bound is equal to n by p. Simply 16 by 4 is equal to 4. And let us divide the whole matrix, that n by matrix, 16 by 16 matrix, into matrix is divided into alpha p groups of n by alpha p consecutive rows. Just substitute how many groups, alpha into p. Alpha is my 4 here, p is 4. So 4 into 4, 16 groups I will get. So whole matrix, this whole matrix 16 by 16, I will divide into 16 groups, each group having n by alpha p consecutive row. So 1, just substitute 1 row. That means each block is corresponds to single row of the matrix, and just go on allocating in a wraparound fashion, because we are in cyclic only. The cyclic word itself is telling you that just do round robin. I hope it is clear now. Same division, only the alpha it is changing, is it not? So upper bound. So this is your dimensional cyclic. Just see one group block. How much means block size is 1 row. 1 row. So how many groups? Alpha p groups. So 16 groups is it? 16 groups. Each group correspond to 1 row. 1 row. So go on allocating P0, P1, P2, P3. Again round robin it, wrap around. Again complete it, again wrap around, and again wrap around till the end of the matrix. Why? Because only the restriction, we are using only 4 processes. Is it? So this is row wise. We are doing row wise. That means one dimensional category is row wise. Similarly, you can allocate column wise also. I hope it is clear. So cyclic. Now compare the pros and cons ladder. Here the cyclic. So just if more fine grain you are getting more fine grain, but what lack of locality, is it not? At any given time, just CP0 it is not getting continuous data to work. So P0, after that P4, 1, P2, again P0. So lack of locality, and that can be a problem in cyclic. Though it is you are getting fine grain. Fine grain is always better. Then trade-off. So what we discussed yesterday, trade-off between the two. As per the situation, you should find out. So I hope now it is clear. Again, last case. Again, we are with one dimensional, same data, and I am substituting the lower bound. Lower bound alpha. First, see the calculations. Same equation. Now this is my lower bound. Data is same. N is 16. That is my dimensions of the matrix n by n matrix. I am dealing with 16 by 16 matrix. Number of processes are remaining same. I am only substituting the lower bound alpha as lower bound 1. So let us divide the again follow the same exercise. Let us divide this whole matrix 16 by 16 into alpha p groups. So substitute alpha is equal to 1 and p is equal to 4. So only 4 groups. We are dividing the whole matrix 16 by 16 matrix into 4 groups of this n by alpha p consecutive rows. So how many rows per group? It is 4 consecutive rows. So please go through this mathematics. So now in block I am calling it as or rather what I got, each block I got is equal to 4 consecutive rows of the matrix. So just go on allocating P0, P1, P2, P3. P0. So for first 4 rows, P1 next 4, P2 is next 4, and that is the end. P3, the last 4, that is the end of the matrix. No question of wraparound or round robin. So as good as, or rather it is a block. So pure block. In pure block, we don't round robin. We don't wrap around. So we had learned the very first mapping technique. Is it not under static? Static array and block. So this completes 3 types, major types, and the difference. And pros and cons of each you should know. Again, I have repeated and I have solved it for you. On the top of this, or with the help of such a examples or mathematics, you should be in position to conclude firmly. Yeah, this is the pro, this is the advantage, this is a overcome here, pros and cons, trade-offs and all. That's why all these are linked. Static static partitioning schemes. Under static, it is array because it is totally depending on the array distribution, whether it is single dimensional or 2-dimensional. And under array, the categories are block, block cyclic, and cyclic. So this is how you should explain pros and cons. I hope it is clear, students. So let us go ahead. So I will scroll again once and I will upload this also. Just see the first case. So I have solved it on the graph paper. Anyhow, you do it definitely for a 2-dimensional, and just you should get the same conclusion. Because whether you are going for 1-dimensional or going for 2-dimensional, the pros and cons also will be the same. On alpha also you take the same. You do it definitely, and if doubts, please ask. Then go ahead. Second case, upper bound. And the last case. Here you are getting alpha as by alpha is equal to 1, the pure block. So, yes, I will close this now, and we will go for randomized, the last category in the array, and then we will go ahead. Okay. One thing I want to show again. Yeah. This we have discussed bit again repetition and how such cases are handled by random. So we will move ahead towards randomized array distribution, block distribution. So using block cyclic distribution shown in B to distribute the computations performed in array like A will lead to load imbalances. This diagram I have showed you. I had shown you yesterday also. So distribution has sparse matrix. If you go on distributing or mapping the sparse matrix computations using block cyclic, such a situation can happen. So what is this situation? Only the whole work, it is concentrated at the diagonal processes. Diagonal processes. We are still, even if we are using block cyclic, that is wraparound. So there is no question block, but even if you go for block cyclic, using 16 processes here, so this can be the case. This is a snapshot of let us say sparse situation. So just see P0, P10, P15, P0, P0, P10, P10. So focus on diagonal processes. Though we are doing wraparound, so the diagram is telling you that the only those processes are they having they are busy and the rest of they can be the idle. So like this load imbalance can happen even if you go for block cyclic. So how to solve such a situations? How to solve such a situations? Let us go ahead. That's why the randomized is there. Please be with me. Yeah. So that's why the randomized is there. So last distribution, randomized block distribution. Drawbacks of block distribution are, block cyclic distribution are removed in this. Drawback of block cyclic, just now we had seen sparse case. So how it is removed or how to do randomization? Again, it is a block array. So focus here. A one-dimensional randomized block mapping of 12 blocks onto 4 processes. It is shown here. I will explain this. First, this input you will need, and sample alpha it is assumed that 3. So nothing to do with previous equation now. Just see randomized. How to randomize it? Uh, so 12 blocks, this input numbers you will need 12 blocks and 4 processes, alpha it is 3. Now just see. I hope it is visible. So just see. V vector. So this vector it is prepared. V is vector. Vector length of the vector is alpha into p. So length of the vector is alpha into p. So how many elements you can see in the vector is 12. Why? Because we are working on this assumption. Alpha is equal to 3 and 4 processes. P is equal to 4. So the length of the vector it is alpha p. That is 3 into 4. That is 12. Is it? So 12 blocks. Mapping of 12 blocks. So size of the vector. Only one vector we will need here because we are with one dimensional randomized. So what to do with this vector? So a vector element 0, 1, 2 serially in serially we are taking. So what to do with this vector is first the size of the vector, again length of the vector I will repeat, alpha into p. Alpha I am assuming 3, p is my 4, so 12. And what to do with that vector is apply a random permutation to that vector, randomize this vector, single dimensional vector, randomize it, and again you get the output vector, randomize. Apply a random permutation and then map it. and then map it like this. So you are with 4 processes and 12 inputs, 12 elements, so 3 per process like this. So this is randomized block distribution. Randomized block distribution using one dimensional, that is called as one dimensional randomized block distribution, because only one vector, one dimension we are using. I hope it is clear. So let us go ahead. How to randomize with two dimensional. So using a two-dimensional random block distribution shown in B to distribute the computations performed in array A, it is shown in C. So now this case, you know, just let me zoom it. So this case, you know now, what is it? Sparse matrix case. Just now we discussed. What are the drawbacks if you go for block cycling? So now it is solved in randomized. So the vector length, here we are dealing with two-dimensional randomized block distribution. So vector length of the vector is alpha into root p. So here you can see two vectors. The author has used two vectors of length. Each vector's length is 16, 0 to 15, 0 to 15. One two dimension, because we are doing two dimensional. So two vectors we will need. The vector length is 16. So alpha root p is the vector length. So alpha it is 4 here. So alpha into root p, number of processes are 16. Number of processes are 16. So we are with that case. Shall I show you that figure? Number of processes are 16. Assume. So root of 16 is 4 into alpha is 4. That is 4 into 4 is 16. I am calculating size of the vector, that I am not calculated here. I forgot. But I think it is clear from this diagram. Vector size itself is 16. So how it is 16, I am telling you. It is alpha root p. Alpha I am assuming 4, root p 16 processes I am assuming. So root of 16 is 4. 4 into 4 is 16. So each vector, column vector and row vector, each vector, two vectors I will need, each of length 16. Is it? So now how to solve this problem? Just randomize or permute randomly. Apply random permutation against two dimensional. Against two dimensional, like this you will get. So the whole work which is concentrated along the diagonal using block cyclic, now by random permutation using two-dimensional or two vectors, now it is distributed across the whole matrix. So that's it. That is the randomized, and after that you just go by a cycle. This is your block purely. So each element it is having one process. So we are with 16 processes. So P0, go on allocating P0, P1, P2, P3, 4, 5, 6. Just see serial allocation up to P15, no wraparound. So this is suitable here. So that's why it is one of the scenario, how it is solved, how the problem it is solved using randomized. So first randomize it, or apply random permutation, and then apply your normal technique, normal mapping technique. So this is your randomized block distribution. Again go by one dimensional, again you can go by two dimensional. I hope it is clear, students. Anything, please ask. So that is all with block. So now let us go ahead. I will close this. Again I will show you that chart so that you will be in sync where we are. Yes. So static mapping, what is in red color? So mapping based on data partitioning is the first category we had covered. Second category is mapping based on task partitioning, and last is hierarchical mapping. And the very second is the dynamic, like this. So what we had covered up till now, just be with me. In this array we had covered in array block, pure block, block cyclic and randomized. Next graph I am giving it as a homework. So just read. It is quite descriptive, so nothing to teach like. So just go through some examples from your textbook. The very obvious difference between array and graph I will tell you, and on the top of that you just read from your textbook. So array, when we go for array is array partitioning is the regular or the structured patterns. Like in number of examples we had seen, especially matrix operations, structured and regular patterns. And when we go for graph is when we see irregular patterns or unstructured patterns in our scenario or the problem. Some mesh example it is given to represent the lake superior superior lake exterior, sorry. And number of examples are given, so with some diagrams you just read it. So one thing I am keeping it for homework. So today we will focus on the next, and probably most probably if time permits the next also, and we will complete static. So next category in static is mappings based on task partitioning. So purely based on task or the allocation. Mapping is what? Allocation of task to processes. So it is first category we are using the array and graph data structures. Here we are using the task dependency graph data structure. Already you know task dependency graph data structure. So two problems we will discuss. Uh, First binary tree and again sparse matrix. So let me close it and open that slide. So next category. Lecture 7. Last 7. Lecture 7. Yeah, as per the outline. Uh, Next two categories in under the static, mapping based on task partitioning. This category is called as mapping based on task partitioning. So again, how this path, it is a static mapping and task partitioning. Name of the category is task partitioning. Internally it uses task dependency graph. So two examples I will give you to convince you. So to find the minimum in an array, उसका task dependency graph and sparse matrix. Next is hierarchical mapping, the parallel quicksort, and what is actually the difference between the two. This is the focus. Let us see how much we can cover. Let us go ahead, students. Next category, mapping based on task partitioning. It is static and directly task partitioning. A mapping based on partitioning a task dependency graph and mapping its nodes directly onto the processes can be used when computation is naturally expressible in the form of static task dependency graph with tasks of known sizes. So we had seen n number of static task dependency graph where each node I am calling it as a task and the edges I am calling it as the interaction or the dependency we had seen, and the work given to each node, each task is also known. That's why it's static. So this is the case, or this is the scenario when we go for this type of partitioning. So let us go to the example first. We had seen this task dependency graph to find minimum in an array. Hmm? So recursive decomposition. We had seen, I hope you can recollect, to find the minimum in a graph. So what is it? Minimum in an array, sorry, 4, 9, 1, 7, 8, 11, 2, 12. All these are the array elements. Just I have paired in a group of two, and just I go on finding the minimum between the two. Next level, and in the root level or in the root element I am getting the minimum. So just concentrate here, minimum. You know this. It is a repetition in number of times. Very simple. First 4 to 9 का minimum 4, and one minimum between 1 and 7 is 1. So next level task is to find 4 from this side and 1 from this side, again minimum, and just eventually you will reach to the root, and the root's task is to find the minimum between 1 and 2, and when it will complete its task it will give you the answer as 1. As simple as that. I hope it is clear. Now map it to our discussion. Yeah. Uh, so mapping of a binary tree task dependency graph onto a hypercube of processes. So 8 processes I am using. This also I have shown you, or we had discussed. So 8 processes I am using. Concentrate here. 8 processes. Again, the same example continued to find the minimum hypercube of the processes. So 8. So start from the leaf nodes 0, 1, 2 up to 7. So 8 nodes. Straight away 8 tasks to 8 processes. Processes are numbered from 0, 1, 2 up to 7, is it not? P0 to P7, let us say. Just go on collecting the results. So next level you are getting, next level में कितने tasks है? Only 4. 4 tasks. How you are mapping this? Again you are mapping to process 0. This also we had seen why to the same processes to minimize the inter-process communication. Naive mapping. So the second process here, P2 process you are using this for this tasks. For this task you are using P4, and for this you are using P6. Again just go on collecting the results and go to the next level. Next level पे you are having only two processes, process P0 and process P4. Are you with me? Just go on mapping and just go on collecting the results, and at the root level in process P0 you are getting the minimum. So P0. So we can manage that computation to find the minimum in an array using hypercube of processes, that is the 8 processes. So just traverse this single line. So this is all with respect to process 0. Again traverse uh, this line process with, so these two tasks are related to process P2. This traverse this line with process P4, and this traverse this line it is with process P6. So our aim is to minimize inter-process communication. So we are clubbing the tasks like this, nothing great. So this is how the mapping. So using task partitioning. Next category, task partitioning. Solely, totally it is dependent on the task dependency graph. So just go on mapping the nodes of task dependency graph to the processes to reduce the to have the minimum inter process communication. I hope it is clear, students. So let us go ahead with the some more problem. Example 2. So a mapping, I hope it is clear. First, it is a repetition. Simply the task dependency graph is with you, and just go on mapping the nodes of the task dependency graph onto the processes, keeping the same aim in mind, minimum interaction overhead. So I hope it is okay. Nothing is there in text box, so I think you are getting. Yeah. Second example, under the same category, a mapping of sparse matrix vector multiplication onto the three processes. So the task interaction graph also we had seen. This is, I think, yeah, like this we had also seen. So this is also example of the task partitioning using task dependency graph. So I will explain this with the help of this diagram because you will understand it better. Let me zoom it. Focus only on this, students. Already we had solved this problem. At that time, at least those who were present and those students can recollect. While solving that problem, so we had solved this problem to convince you that paradigm, message passing and shared address space paradigm. So at that time, we had distributed the whole matrix, 12 by 12 matrix, in 12 tasks. I hope you can recollect 12 tasks. Each row, each task. Per row or a task per row, and owner of the row and one task is the owner of that particular row and that particular element that we had seen. So same logic we will need here, but I will not repeat that. So on the top of that, I am speaking same logic we will need here. What logic in general? 12 tasks per task, or each task, a row from A input and an element from B, like this we had seen. Owner, who is the owner of each row. So now here the only difference is that uh, the tasks are obviously there. So process P0, P1, P2. So three processes we are using, and again the whole 12 tasks we are distributing in or we are managing with three processes. So how many tasks per process or how many rows per process? It is 4, is it? General or Geneve mapping. So 4 rows per process. 4 rows per process 0. Next process, next 4 rows. Next process, next 4 rows. And this is how we had distributed the tasks and mapping. So this is the task partitioning. So now some lists you can see here. So at that time also we had seen some elements from matrix, this column vector B. Some tasks they will have to send and receive, is it not? Which elements they will have to receive? The elements which they don't owe, is it not? And the elements which they owe, they will have to send it. Same thing it is done. So these lists you can see, students, here. So just focus on C0. So this list also you will need if you go for this mapping. C0. So this C0, this list, it is with process 0. So some numbers 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You can see these are the task numbers from which you will have to collect, receive the elements. Like, so just see, only focus on the first partition, that is process P0. So this process 0 owns all these tasks. So it knows all the tasks plus these elements also this process 0 owns. So what about remaining elements? So those numbers are written here. Are you with me? So the process 0 owns B0, B1, B2, B3. But what about rest of the elements in the rest of the partitions or rest of the processes that are listed here? Is it 4, 5, 6, 7? So these are the elements of B in this owned by process P1. Why all are listed? Just see 4, 5, 6, 7, because all these 4 they are needed in the computation. And why only 8? So this 8 element, 8th B8, it only 8th element, it belongs to this last partition. Only that much, that element it is required. We don't require, just start from 8 na 8. So just start from uh, B0, 1, 2, 3. So these 3 elements, B0, 1, 2, 3, up to 11 it is going, yeah. So B0, 1, 2, 3, it is having 4, 5, 6, 7. It will receive 8, 9, 10, 11. So out of which only 8th it is required in the computation. So just it is matrix vector multiplication. So only 8 it is stored in the list. Similarly, repeat the same exercise to calculate this list C1 and calculate the list C2. Again, I will show you it for C1. C1. So focus on C1. So B 4, 5, 6, 7. No need to store. So they are with that particular process. So what else it will receive from other processes is 0, 1, 2, 3. So B0, B1, B2, B3 plus 8, 9, 10, 11, B8, B9, B10, B11, all 8. This process it is needing. It shows that. Just do it at home or solve it on your notebook. So you will come to know. Already the solved problem we had seen. So there is no, I think there should not be any problem in understanding. Only we are dividing here into 3 processes. Again, focus on the last list. This also we will complete. C2. So these elements of B vector are with this. So only the rest it will have to collect from rest of the processes, out of which 0, B0. So B0, B1, B2, B3, out of which only B0 it is needing, it needs for its calculation. And out of so B0, B1, B2, B3, उनमें से B0, B4, B5, B6, B3, B4, B5, B6. Out of these 4, only 4, 5, 6 position elements from B vector it is needing, and there is no question of storing this because it owns these elements, is it? So like this is one of the style or technique, students. So that's it. Yeah. So example 2, a mapping of sparse matrix vector multiplication onto 3 processes. Processes are given 3, and the list of CI contains the, now you will convince, the list of CI contains the indices of B that process I needs to access from other processes. That only I have told you. List of CI. So three lists, C0, C1, C2. So that my aim is to tell you the list of CI contains the indices of B that process I needs to access from other processes. If you have understood that problem which we had solved in message passing paradigm, this is nothing for you students. So just go through it. So this completes the next category. That is mapping based on, again it is a static mapping based on task partitioning. Name of the category is mapping based on task partitioning. Internally it uses the task dependency graph or task interaction graph. In this we had seen 2 examples. Well, first was the minimum find the minimum in an array using tree data structure, and second is the sparse matrix multiplication using the interaction graph data structure. I hope it is clear. Let me close it and a bit we will go ahead. First, let me take the attendance because only 15 minutes are remaining. Till you can ask your questions and we will go ahead, students. I hope it is clear. Nothing is there in the chat box. Yeah, first let me download 47 students. I don't know how strength is. So let it be, but it should be 78 students are there in the class. So here you will have to apply attend online. So what's the problem? So though you are in BE, it should not be the case because attendance it is updated in the MIS. So again, no, don't. So don't repeat the same thing. Though you are in BE, but now you are doing online only 4 lectures and lab sessions are also reduced. So no, there is no overhead like so that much time you can uh, find out to attend. Though TNP and all it is going on, students. So 4 means per course 4 lectures and like just see the timetable. The lab, the thing is to lab sessions are lab okay kitne the aapke 4 hours, so only it is reduced to 1 hour. So you should find time, though you are in BE, let it be, because again that attendance is the very first criteria, you know now, very everywhere, that is the first filter. So I am telling you, you only will be deprived of certain facilities like internship and all. So TNP also like so the policies. So first criteria, you know, the attendance. So try to attend as far as possible. So because in MIS we are teachers are going to fill the pure attendance as per this list. So just don't take risk. I recommend like to attend. Okay, because first very few first days attendance was quite good. Strength was quite good. Okay, so you manage your n number of tasks by giving equal respect or concern to your academics also. Is it? So let me download it. 47. Uh, yeah, today is 28th of July. Attendance हो गया download. Next. Yeah. Now, any doubts? We'll go ahead. Yeah. Nothing is there and you are not asking. Means I hope it is smooth. Good. Uh, Let me go to the next verse. There is no much to teach all, so let us complete everything today. Yeah, last. So that you are in that flow, so you will understand it better. So last is hierarchical mapping. Uh, Last category in the static mapping, is it? Static array. Sorry, static. Yeah, static block we had seen in that array graph. Then next is static task partitioning we had seen, and now last is static hierarchical. So the drawbacks of mappings based on task partitioning are overcome in this method. How? So a mapping based solely on the task dependency graph may suffer from load imbalance or inadequate concurrency. Again, I will read. Mapping based purely on task dependency graph, like just now we had seen, may suffer from load imbalance or inadequate concurrency. How? Again, we will go to that example here. So this is totally solely based on task dependency graph, minimum ka, to find minimum in an array. So what is the load imbalance and how poor concurrency? Just see, at leaf nodes, maximum concurrency you are getting. Is it how many processes? 8 processes can run in parallel. As you go upwards, next level. As you move towards the root from leaf, concurrency goes on decreasing. The diagram itself is telling you that. Again, so I am explaining you the drawbacks. So concurrency here, only 4 tasks and parallel, 2 tasks in the parallels, and like this. So the root, this portion, the root side tasks or root side processes. So some poor concurrency is the result. So that is the case with if you go purely for task dependency, purely you are going for task dependency. So how to resolve such problems? Using hierarchical or hierarchical, as the name suggests, hierarchical, it uses the hierarchy only. Tree you will need. So like this. So the problem is like this. So quick sort. We had seen recursive decomposition, also quick sort, using quick sort. So if the problem is like this, so the root task. So the whole array, instead of going from bottom to up, you are going from top to bottom. In using last is your hierarchical. So this whole array, it is with root. So let us say it is the root is from root you just go on distributing. So whole array is with root, and the process all the processes P0 and P7 are also with the root. So the what is the task of root? In the this last scheme is just go on dividing that array, or just go on subdividing it into the processes. Just see here again, if you go to the next level, 4 processes, P0 to P3, P0 to P7. Again go to the next level, again 4 processes, go on dividing into 2 to 2 2, and again at the leaf nodes we are with till you just continue, you know, that recursive decomposition till you get 1-to-1 process mapping. So exactly reverse. So this can be the case. So now it will save your concurrency, or maximum more concurrency you will get. So just see some thing you are having concurrent at each level. So this is the case. This is called as hierarchical decomposition. So parallel quicksort, it is a nice example of hierarchical decomposition. But now, then what is the difference? It's very similar to your previous case. So in general, hierarchical mapping can have many layers, very important. So hierarchical, when you say the word hierarchical mapping, it is a generic. So imagine it as having many layers, and different decomposition and mapping techniques may be suitable for different layers. N number of layers you can have as per the problem definition or as per the scenario, and you are here, you are having a flexibility to combine n number of techniques. So like composite decomposition we had seen, hybrid decomposition, in that we are clubbing. So that flexibility, it is given in hierarchical. So it is a layer wise, generic sense. You just learn it in generic. It is a generic sense. In number of layers, you can imagine at each layer, you can either go for any of the mappings or decomposition techniques which I have taught you up till now. So it is a generic. That is the difference between this hierarchical mapping and your previous case, that is mapping totally based on task partitioning, so task dependency graph. So that is the difference. So the example here, it is a parallel quick sort. Okay. Here obviously we are not combining anything, but to solve a problem like this quick sort, so each node it is having a task, or if you are sorting suppose thousands and lakhs of elements, so this better you go by hierarchical from top to bottom, exactly opposite to the previous case. So the same, obviously it is also using the task dependency graph only, but the difference is there. So many layers you can imagine, and homework I have found out for you. Consider a sparse matrix decomposition technique. The question is same sparse matrix decomposition. Apply a suitable mapping for the same. Now you apply your vision. Some hint as per the textbook I have given, and it is not solved in the textbook. So now it's your job to solve it. So we have completed the static mapping techniques. In number of schemes we had seen, and just you apply. Now you solve this problem. Just think, yeah, whether it can be solved the same problem by hierarchical. We had solved this sparse matrix vector multiplication problem using purely task partitioning scheme that just now we had discussed. Three processes, P0, P2, P1, three processes, and those lists CI, C0, C1, C2. So now can it be solved using layered approach? So the hint also given, layer 1, layer 2. So just apply top layer. You can I go by task partitioning, pure task partitioning, and bottom layer can I apply array partitioning? N number of array partitioning we had seen, that is block. So combine करके देखो. So apply your vision and solve it, and we can discuss also. Yeah. So homework up till now, what I will club all homeworks, and either using class notebook or using assignment section. I will upload the homework, and from your side you solve it by your paper and pen. Make a PDF, cam scanner say, and you can upload students. So the loop will be closed. So just I will do that. Class notebook also it is there available in Teams. So per student 78 students or 78 class notebooks per student, one notebook is there. You can solve it there. Upload facility is also there, and no, you cannot see individual notebooks, but I can see all. So like this, either or through assignments I can give the homework, though it is a classroom, classroom teaching learning, some homework or some quizzes also I have designed. So formative assessment, so how it should be closed loop, is it not? Because I am broadcasting, and from your side how I can come to know that everything is going on smooth, and some measurable sorry, outcome also I should have from my side. So quizzes results also I have stored. So now per topic quiz it's hectic for me. So per unit quiz, 30 marks quiz, for 30 marks quiz, 45 minutes. So one lecture we will do that. So formative assessment. So I should also know whether you are getting the things or no, not, is it not? So it is a two-way. Unit test also will be there. But before unit test, per unit quiz or per topic quiz, this is assessment, formative assessment we will do to close that loop, because here we cannot, there is not a synchronization, is it not? So it is asynchronous mode, as good as far as possible I am asking questions and you are also responding, but not too much. But so they let me there find some way to close the loop. That's why. So quiz is one of that loop, one of the method to close that loop, and second is the homework. Students, though you are in B, you do it. Homework means not that much like KG student homework I am giving. Some interesting problems only I am giving you from your textbook only. So solve it and upload it. So just I hope you will close that loop. So that's the end today. Okay, yeah. Anything from your side? So this class is the static mapping technique. Next lecture we will complete dynamic, and one more lecture I will need. किती राहिले आता? 2. I hope to second unit also we will I think we will complete by this speed. Yeah, models, parallel models is remaining, and some task properties. So in this week, I think second unit also we will complete, or some one more lecture in the next week for quiz like students. So that's it. Quite ahead we are in the syllabus, and I think if you are that you are not texting anybody means it is like texting me anything. So this is smooth going, plus quizzes also are there with the nice results. So homework also I am expecting from you till unit test. Okay, students, let me call. Stop the recording, and then I will leave. Stop recording.